You can get it going.
Okay. A long time ago, I was conducting criminal investigations for some corporations. It was an easy job. It was fun. More of a blue-collar type. 90% of it was recording video. 10% was writing reports. But I encountered a situation. Depending on the day and the time of the day, the people would call the local police. People around the area would call the local police and tell them that there was a suspicious individual in the area. So if I was not able to lie my way out of it, and I was in need to show my badge, that was equal to blow my cover off. But one day I had a breakthrough, and I became really good at being unnoticeable. And it wasn't experience, it wasn't practice. One day I was conducting this investigation for a high-profile corporation, and that's all I can say about the client. The individual I was following stopped in a place that I was definitely going to be noticed. So I'm start thinking, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? I didn't want to blow my cover. And as I'm observing and looking at the surroundings, I see what appears to be a homeless person with dirty clothes, a bottle of rum, sitting on the sidewalk right in front of the building. Light bulb. Got to the back of my vehicle, grabbed an old t-shirt I had it in the trunk. I was using it as a rag to clean my vehicle. Put it on, wrapped my camera in a plastic bag, then reached under the vehicle, gathered all the dirt I could, and smeared all over my face. Dirt and sun. Perfect. I walked up to the individual that looked like a homeless person, approached him, sat next to him, and very discreetly showed him my badge. I asked him please not to say anything. Keep acting normal. Keep doing whatever you're doing. He smiled and offered me a swig of his rum. I grabbed the bottle, poured a little bit on my hand, smeared all over my neck and my shirt, and reached into my pocket. I gave him some cash. 2.5 hours I sat there. 2.5 hours I was invisible. It was like the entire population reached a consensus that it was better to ignore me. It is a beautiful evening today, and I thank all of you for being here. My name is Matthew Williams, and I appreciate that you're allowing me to share some of my points of view. I will start with the following. Your first impression is usually wrong. We can probably all agree that stereotypes are bad. The fact is that we stereotype everything. And as we grow older, it is harder and harder for us to admit that we might be wrong. Let us divert our attention a little bit for a little second to the screen. Take a look at that. It's amazing, I think. The guarantee of freedom of belief, freedom of political parties, ensure governments will be elected, respect for the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. So we can all agree that the ideals presented on the screen are good. But these are the ideals of an organization that, until last year, it was listed by the United States and Canada as a terrorist group. I'm talking about the MEK. I don't know how smart it's for me to be talking about terrorist organizations, but I was just trying to prove a point. We all aspire to be good, to become better human beings. But it takes more than just knowing right from wrong. I learned this exercise from a very wise professor. And I'm going to ask you to participate with me. I want you all to visualize yourself driving down the road. And in front of you, this really, really, really bad driver is doing all kind of maneuvers and is just getting you upset. Eventually, traffic becomes slower. And by coincidence, you just drive by, catch up with the individual. The first thing that comes to mind, the first thing that you voice out when you glance at that individual is, it had to be a blank. That's the first thought you get. Are we wrong? Are we right? The only way to be close to an actual answer is if by any chance you knew everyone that was driving on that road that day. The light doesn't allow me to show this, but raise your hand if you can see a red ball behind me.
Yeah.
Okay. Till now, scientists have no clue if what we're all seeing is the same thing. There's no way to prove it. There's a possibility that we are conditioned as we grow to call it a red ball every time we see this image. But that is not necessarily what we're seeing in our brains. And the reason this is happening is because we all experience life differently. We can be exposed to a situation. We can be all sitting in the same room. It can be the same place and time. But at the end, we all have a different experience. This is why I want you all, this is why I want you to join me in an effort to do something different. I'm going to pick at least one day of the month to be wacky, to be crazy, and make sure no one knows what I'm all about unless they get to know me. I want to be able to recognize Dr. Johnson without a coat. And I don't want to be tricked by a person that might be able to harm me in the future. And I do this because our society needs to change. I do this because I refuse to be a drone. I refuse to be a stereotype. And as an individual, I deserve to be known. So before you leave this room, reach inside this box, grab a prop, and I dare you just to be different. Try to have some fun. And the sound on the computer didn't work.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Have a nice Christmas. Sorry.